Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is I, your host, Mr. Sean, and today I want to talk about something that kind of popped into my head yesterday at work. So at the time of recording this, yesterday, my boss and we had a huge backlog of work, and we kept getting interrupted by other departments, so we booked a conference room for the day. We kind of put a note saying do not disturb, and we just brought our computers in there, some monitors, and we just got to work. I mean, it did work. We did get it all done, if you were wondering. But while we needed some background noise, so, using whatever apps were on the TV in that room, my boss ended up just because, I haven't seen this in forever. I don't really remember it. He put on Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and that movie is just so bad. It's really bad. And honestly, one of the worst parts about that movie is Jessica Alba. I mean, yes, the woman is very pretty, but she cannot act, and in fact, she does not act anymore. Last I heard, she owns some kind of successful cosmetics brand, and good for her, very happy for her. Not everyone is an actor. But as I was commenting on just how bad her performance was in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, my boss was like, yeah, but I mean, she was really, really pretty back then. I mean, I don't think she looks much different now than she did back then. So, I mean, she's still very, very pretty. But it got me thinking that, people love to say that certain people are able to get by solely on their looks. And I guess in certain degrees that might be true. But what I want to talk about today is how nobody who we would deem successful has ever been able to do so purely by getting by on their looks. And I think this is important to understand, because a lot of times we dismiss people because of their quote-unquote pretty privilege. Now, I don't have personal experience with this. I would consider myself traditionally average looking, so I don't believe I have pretty privilege. I don't think that's ever affected my life. I've had to get by on my charisma. But the thing about people always want to go, oh yeah, of course good things happen to that person because they're really attractive. And I mean, that goes for it. I think it gets thrown at women more, but it gets thrown at guys too. And while pretty privilege is a thing to a degree, I feel like it's used mostly to try and bring down the people who are trying to bring them down are jealous because they are achieving things that the other person can't, and they don't want to admit that it's because of that person's hard work and savvy and all that. They want to go, well, yeah, of course, it's because you're pretty. They're trying to dismiss others' accomplishments because you are jealous. And people would say, hey, Sean, Mr. Sean, clearly it does exist, because there's a lot of people like Jessica Alba who get into things like show business because they're pretty. And I want to tell you that it's not enough to just get into show business. Yes, you might be brought into show business based on your looks, but to be successful, to stay in show business, you have to be more than just attractive. And Jessica Alba is a great example of this, because she is not an actor anymore. I don't think she's ever been good at acting, but she has a successful business. And yes, to the fact that she's Jessica Alba, that she's pretty, that she had been in movies is probably a part of her success. But to have a successful company, it can't just be, I'm a very pretty person. Clearly she has some business savvy, or at the very least some savvy to hire people that do have it. Like, one way or the other, she is able to use more than her looks to remain successful. And that's the key here, is that yes, being pretty can open doors for you, but success is never maintained based on your looks, especially because looks fade. So yes, you might be able to get 1 or 2 movies, even up until, let's say 10, just because you're really, really attractive. But by the time that 10th movie comes around, people are going to be like, this person can't act, and you're not going to get more deals, because a pretty face is not going to draw the crowds. One of the best hypotheticals, scenarios I can give for this is, let's go to the world of adult films. Now, yes, adult films are for one purpose, and those people need to appear in some way or another sexually attractive to the people watching. Now, you could have the prettiest human being on the planet in your adult film. But what if they're just there, they're dead fish in it, they look bored, they're not really interacting? Are you really going to enjoy that experience, or do you want them to be able to act like they are having a great time? And that's the key, is that even adult actors and actresses have to be able to put on a show. And I'm not saying that the acting in those is great, but for what it needs to be, they need to be able to do that in order to have staying power, in order to be successful. Otherwise, they're just a pretty face that was in one movie and never showed up again. Hashtag sex work is real work, and when you're working, you gotta put in the time, you gotta put in the effort. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, guys. It's never enough just to be attractive. I mean, I'm watching, again, Rise of the Silver Surfer, and yeah, there's some attractive people in that movie. But the only one who actually is giving a halfway decent performance in that film is Chris Evans, himself a very attractive man. And as we all know, Chris Evans went on to much bigger and better things in the world of Hollywood and even the MCU once that became a thing. And none of the other people in that film did that. And that, I mean, they even had him reprise his Johnny Storm role in the recent Deadpool Wolverine movie. But the thing is he was more than just a pretty face. He was a very good actor, even with the absolute crap they gave him to work with, because let's be honest, early Fox Marvel movies are garbage. But he has remained an A-lister, while other people in that movie have definitely faded. And I think that's like the perfect example that it can't just be your looks. You might need to have looks for certain roles, but you have to also be able to act. And this goes outside the world of acting. I mean, there are people who own businesses, and that's how they started, and people will go, oh, well, yeah, of course that person's a successful entrepreneur because their face and their body open doors for them. And it's like, yeah, they might get the doors open, but they will kick you out of those same doors if you don't put in the time and effort. And it's always been people who are savvy, who are able to capitalize on what they have, whether that's looks or something else, or to combine them to maintain long-term success. I think when you think of pretty privilege and people being quote-unquote successful for being attractive, what you're really thinking of is short-term success. It's like, look at it, the high school equivalent. The homecoming queen back in the day might have been just the prettiest girl at school, but what is she doing now? The quarterback might have been like, yeah, that dude's really handsome. What's he doing now? Did their looks, did their popularity in high school, did that keep those doors open for them? Or did they eventually have to come into the real world because they realized that their looks weren't going to get them very far in the long run? Now, I put it to you, my audience, prove me wrong. In the comments, what I want you to do is I want you to list people that you think, without a doubt, are only successful, and I'm talking true success, not short term, or people who have been successful and continue to be so, are only successful because they are attractive. And I want you to put your examples in the comments. I'm going to look at them. I'm going to research them. We're going to come back with a part 2 to this video, and I'm going to tell you whether you are misguided in your assumption. I'm going to do the research on that, or I'm going to admit defeat. If I am wrong and there are a multitude of people who have real lasting success simply for being a pretty face, well then I will admit it here on the air, and I will give you guys a shout out, each one of you that has proven me wrong. So go forth, Go to the comment section, give your examples, also click like, also subscribe so that, you make sure to see the video I make when I either proclaim victory or admit defeat. Again, until that time, everyone, I'm Mr. Sean. This is Mr. Sean Productions. And I sincerely hope that you'll leave a comment and that you'll alpha great day and an even beta tomorrow. Bye-bye.